Meet Jeremy, and he is a snail, and a very famous snail, because in 2016 they made a snail version of The Bachelor on the internet. There was even a whole separate hashtag on Twitter. It's just a strange hashtag. Snail love? Seriously? Yes, seriously. The thing is, Jeremy was born with a leftward twist on his shell. To give you an idea, there is 1 in 4 million chance of this happening, and because of this he could not reproduce with all the individuals of his species, because their genitals were mirrored. To understand, it's like two cars driving down a narrow road in different directions, or if you want to greet a person with your left hand instead of your right. In theory, everything is the same, but something prevents you from doing it. The internet loved this hashtag and this story of a snail without love, so even famous people drew attention to it, and eventually Jeremy got a girlfriend and then a bunch of kids. By the way, the shells turned out to be ordinary, twisted to the right. I learned this story about 2 years ago, and then I wondered, why is it that I can't put my two hands together facing each other? Or why couldn't these slugs reproduce, even though they had the same genitals for that? The answer to these questions was symmetry, and as I continued to delve deeper into this issue, watching videos on the subject, reading articles, and just seeing some funny things on the internet about it, I decided to share this knowledge with you. So, in this video you will find out what is symmetry and why do we need it, why do you think this man is more handsome than this one, how is the universe divided into right and left, what organisms are perfectly symmetrical, what is right and left, and how to explain the universe through symmetry and asymmetry. Let's start by defining what symmetry is. Symmetry is the case when we rotate objects, mirror their halves, or twist them along all axes, and they look the same. We have talked about the symmetry of 2 or 3-dimensional objects, but it exists in 248-dimensional objects. Our eyes cannot perceive this. Even the brain has a hard time imagining such an object or subject. However, computers and mathematicians are capable of anything, and the latter have even found such symmetry in our world. It was shown by electrons of crystals made of cobalt and niobium. By the way, creatures are also symmetrical, or at least they seem to be. We humans, for example, are not perfect in terms of symmetry, but our left side is similar to our right side. The story of single-celled organisms is more interesting. They are absolutely perfect in terms of symmetry. For unicellular organisms, it doesn't matter where the bottom is and where the top is. They just exist within their shells and float around in different environments. But if you cut them into 4 parts, they will be exactly the same. This is a spherical symmetry. Its name comes from the shape in which it works. However, to remain so perfect, you have to be small. Otherwise, your body parts would not be so attracted to each other. Such organisms are called radiolarians, and they represent radial symmetry. This type is distinguished by the fact that the object will be the same if it is rotated around its axis only by a Cartesian angle. Such creatures are jellyfish, starfish, hydras, and so on. If we take for example the starfish and the Asian museum from the previous video, we can rotate the latter only once, but the starfish as many as 5 times. This kind of symmetry helps these creatures in regeneration, because they can use it to restore severed limbs and remain in the same shape as before. However, in order to move forward in evolution, you have to move a lot, so that is something to regenerate. This is difficult with such symmetry, so nature has created a new kind of symmetry, bilateral symmetry. With this symmetry, only the outer right and left parts remain the same, but the back and front parts are not. The left side of the spider is shifted to the left to move forward faster. We are also bilaterally symmetrical, and this is an incredibly difficult system and process, because we become symmetrical in the embryonic state. This complicated mechanism was discovered by this man, Alan Turing. He suggested that if there are 2 substances inside us that create tissues depending on each other, they can create different patterns. For example, zebras and leopards have such patterns, or even tigers. The same principle works in the fetus. There are two types of proteins, some are distributed along the length of the body, others along the width. This is how symmetry is formed. This is also why blood clots and even tumors appear. By the way, your external beauty, and not only, depends on the work of these proteins. Through symmetry, especially facial symmetry, we perceive all the aesthetic beauty of a person, and it also happens that women want to have more sex with more symmetrical men, because symmetrical partners will have fewer malfunctions when creating a fetus, and the children will be more beautiful. Moreover, symmetry is not just about the face, but also about other parts of the body. For example, this man's abs are more symmetrical than these ones, and that makes him look better. And here one arm is bigger than the other, and because of this, you will consider these athletes with symmetrical arms to be better and more aesthetically pleasing. However, there are also times when symmetry makes things worse. For example, polydactyly is a resistant anomaly in which the hands have one more finger than a normal person. Most of you might be thinking about Gravity Falls right now, but in real life, as you can see, it looks scary, not cool. Symmetry is also about the same amount of something on both sides, as you may have guessed, the right and the left. But what are right and left? How did we become to these directions in the first place? Let's take your hands. If we try to put our right hand to our left hand like this, they won't come together because they are mirrored. Such objects are called chiral. They are literally mirrored objects. If you go to a mirror, you will become a left-handed, not right-handed. You won't be able to put your sneakers on from your left foot to your right. You want to able to shake your left hand with your right. Or even same story of Jeremy from the beginning of the video. A snail with a left-handed coil cannot reproduce with a snail with a right-handed coil. Molecules are a funny story in general, because they can change their properties or functions at all. Let's take penicillamine as an example. Its left-handed version can have healing powers, and the right one can make you blind because it literally becomes poison. I like the comparison when they are called the good and evil twins. They have different properties because they cling to our organelles and cells in different ways. The same example of shaking hands applies here. The difference between these molecules is so great that you can even tell by smell by taking an orange and a lemon. They both have an odorous substance called limonene. The lemon has the left side of this substance and the orange has the right side. Just like policial parties, but they are the same because they have the same goal, to gain power or to attract the attention of animals and people. People also have their own amino acids, just like all living things. The only thing is that we all have a preference for left-handed amino acids. And to explain why this happens, we need to go into space. That's how it works. We started with sex between two slugs and ended up with quantum physics. Symmetry and asymmetry did not appear on Earth, but far away in space, to be precise on asteroids. They also have amino acids just like us, and they also have a preference for left-handed amino acids. There are two theories as to why this happened. The first says that polarized ultraviolet could have done it. It appears in places where new stars form, and this light destroys all right-handed amino acids. It was the left-handed amino acids that remained in the asteroids that could have fallen to Earth and created all life on our planet. And the second theory goes into quantum physics and talks about elementary particles. The atom has elementary particles that rotate around it to the left or right at the quantum level. However, the simple electron is very capricious, and in radiative beta decay, it has only a leftward direction and ejects left electrons, so that they destroy other right electrons but leave the left amino acids rotating. Some of you may think that this is wow and it's so big that it's shocking, but through symmetry and asymmetry I can now explain everything. literally everything that surrounds you. And I can even explain why you are alive now. Matter. All planets, stars, nebulae, and even your body are made of matter and exist because of asymmetry. Immediately after the Big Bang, a certain amount of matter and antimatter particles were created in the cosmic vacuum. According to the laws of physics, they are literally good and evil. They are constantly destroying each other at the cost of their own existence, while creating light. And then, in a fraction of a second, there was one more particle of matter than antimatter in the universe. This created an asymmetry, and this particle of matter could not be destroyed because it had no pair. It's like Tetris, where one block will always be somewhere on the side and will never be destroyed. It is because of this block that you are watching this video right now. Otherwise, the entire universe would consist of nothing but light. Very soon, thanks to the force of gravity, matter particles began to form stars, comet dust, planets, and 10 billion years after the Big Bang, us. It is only because of asymmetry that we exist. The Earth revolves around the Sun and its axis, zebra and leopard have specks and lines on their bodies, and even Jeremy was able to find his love for life only because of the junction of symmetry and asymmetry billions of years ago, and it still works today. I got incredibly shocked when I found all these facts and all this information. I think you will too, so please like, subscribe to this channel and share this video with your friends, and choose in the comments whether you are for the right or left-handed tweaks. Keep up in your intelligence, and goodbye.